Gentlemen, let me start with a truth that they never taught us, but every high value man must learn. The woman is not the prize. You are. But most men never realize this because from childhood, we were indoctrinated. We were systemically, consistently, and emotionally indoctrinated to worship women and undervalue ourselves. Those of you who grew up in the urban areas, in towns, we read the stories of Snow White, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty. These were the Ladybird series, if you can remember them. I don't know. I think kids nowadays still read them. These were not innocent bedtime stories. They were scripts for male servitude, and I'm going to show you how. These were scripts that taught boys that beauty is magic, and men are obliged to grovel in front of beauty. And we bought it. We became dwarfs. We became servants. We became kneeling, ring offering gentlemen. So those kids we call simps nowadays, the ones who are kneeling in the streets in front of a girl proposing to marry and they get slapped or the girl walks away. Those kids have been programmed. This is how it happened. So right now, we are a generation of men who put women on pedestals, only to find ourselves looking up at our own destruction. Brothers, it is time to flip the script. It is time to reclaim the throne. So let's look at the Snow White spell and how boys were turned into servants. In Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, young boys were trained to model the dwarfs. Of course, it was not done explicitly. This is like priming. It's like a psychop or a psyop. Okay? So the seven dwarfs, remember, they are like worker bees that are mesmerized by beauty. They unquestionably devoted themselves to a girl they barely knew. They protected, they provided, they cleaned up her mess. They wept over her corpse like worshippers at a shrine. Does this sound familiar? I want to assume all of you guys read that story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. So notice what these guys did. They didn't even know her. She was just so beautiful. They kept her in a glass coffin and they used to worship her and cry over her because she died. So this is a pattern that millions of men are stuck in today. They are pedestalizing what they desire, they are hoping for scraps of validation from women who never asked them to kneel, but never stopped them either. Warren Farrell calls this cultural hypnosis out clearly in his book, The Myth of Male Power. And he writes in that book, women are born with value, but men must earn it. So, how does Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs teach us or teach boys that girls are the prize? So, in Snow White and Seven Dwarfs, it's not just a fairy tale. It's an early and powerful blueprint for gendered expectations. Beneath the song and sparkle lies a narrative that unconsciously conditions boys to pedestalize women and see their own value primarily in servitude and sacrifice. That is what it does. Okay? It's priming them. So here is how the story teaches boys that girls are the prize. The first thing it teaches is that big beauty equals value. Snow White's defining trait is her beauty, nothing else. She does nothing heroic. She does nothing powerful or courageous or even virtuous. She just is. Yet, she's so beautiful that a huntsman defies a queen's murderer's order to protect her life. 7 grown men, the so-called dwarfs, they radically reorganize their lives to serve her. And even after her death, she is placed in a glass coffin to be admired eternally. They just stare at her, mesmerized, hypnotized by her beauty. What is the message for young boys from a story like this one? Gentlemen, if you're enjoying this video, take a quick moment to like, subscribe, and share. When you subscribe, you'll always get notified when I drop new content. And when you like and share, you help this channel to grow, and more importantly, you help other men to discover the tools that they need to level up. Remember, when one man rises, we all rise. Now let's get back to the video. The message for young boys is that her beauty is so sacred that your job is to protect and worship it. So, what does this story teach us about male devotion as a virtue? When Snow White arrives at the dwarf's house, they are disorganized and uncivilized. She cleans their home, she sings to them, and they immediately pledge loyalty. From that moment onwards, the dwarves work for her, they cook for her, they defend her life, and they build her a shrine when she dies. Remember, she's so beautiful, she can't die. Even beauty is immortal. What is the unspoken lesson for boys in this story? The unspoken lesson for boys is that a good man serves the beautiful woman. He becomes a servant. He's an indentured servant. His loyalty is unquestionable and unconditional, regardless of reward. Remember, these dwarves, they don't smash her. They don't even get to have a kiss. It is just unconditional love. They don't need to get anything in return. And this is why men become surrogate boyfriends and they hang in the friend zone, because this story primed them for exactly that role. The third thing that this story teaches young boys is that women don't need to work to gain loyalty. They inspire it by just existing. So Snow White doesn't earn protection through courage or accomplishment. She doesn't solve their problems. She sings, she cooks, and looks pretty. And that is enough. In contrast, the men in the story must prove themselves. They mine all day. They fight the evil queen. They protect Snow White without expecting anything in return. The inversion teaches boys that your worth comes from work, sacrifice, and devotion. Hers comes from beauty and existence. So it also teaches boys that men are tools and women are treasures. The huntsman, the dwarfs, and the prince they all dedicate themselves to Snow White's well-being. She is the receiver of effort, loyalty, and protection. She's not the giver. It is just one way. She receives all this. This dynamic It trains boys to believe that you are the laborer, she is the reward. And what does the glass coffin teach boys? It teaches them about eternal pedestalization. Even in death, Snow White is not buried. She is placed in a transparent coffin with the dwarfs watching her sleep, preserving her beauty. That is symbolic of worship and idealization. It's not just devotion, it is idolization. And this teaches boys to admire, obsess, and even sacrifice for beauty, even if it does nothing in return. I'm a PTA member in the school where my kids go to school. One of the parents were telling us how she was so mad when she realized or she found that the little money that she gives her son to buy snacks, this boy gives to a certain girl. And one time that girl was telling the boy that she's breaking up with him because he's broke. This woman was saying, how can a child be broke? What is wrong with these children? So Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs can tell you where this boy is getting these ideas from. The sixth aspect we're going to look at is the idea of the prince as a final validator in the story. So to resolve the story, the prince shows up. He kisses Snow White and he wins her. He risks his status and identity to prove his worthiness. Again, not because of anything she does, but because of what she is. The master frame is clear at this point. She is the quest. He is the quester. So this, from a red pill analysis, a story like this is a seed of simping. Snow White, the story of Snow White plants key ideas that lead boys to become simps. Women are it gives them ideas like this, that women are inherently valuable. It teaches them that men must prove themselves through sacrifice, that love is earned through service, not sovereignty. Masculinity is measured by loyalty, not leadership. And by contrast, the red pill flips this script by teaching them that a man who worships beauty loses his strength. And a man who builds himself earns genuine desire. Beauty is treated as a currency in the story. What about men? We see men are being treated in that story as labor, leadership, and love. These are all organized to revolve around her. All male attributes of virtues, they are only highlighted if they serve this woman. And the red pill flips this by showing what evolutionary psychology already teaches us. That women's primary agency is their sexuality. Men's primary agency is performance, dominance, and legacy. And when the woman is young, between 18 and 28 or 26, her beauty is her power. And when the man is mature, 35 to 50, his power peaks. So why do so many men act like they're in a race to deserve her when she's the one running out of time? And this is why we tell men you should never be in a hurry to marry a woman. You don't have a biological clock. Njonjo married when he was in his 50s and he lived to see his grandchildren. So what you need to do is take care of yourself. That's why we tell guys, stay fit, watch your diet, don't take alcohol. If you take care of yourself, Barring something that is unforeseen like congenital problems or cancer, you can live very long. But most of us waste our lives away with alcohol, carcinogens like cancer, and cardiovascular diseases because of lack of fitness. So we have to remember that women are beauty objects and men are success objects. Women's value is in being. A man's value is in becoming. And as little boys, we are taught that women are the reward. That by being good, being loyal, being chivalrous, and emotionally open, we get the princess, and then you live happily ever after. Except that's a lie. And we see its consequences every day. 80% of divorces today are initiated by women. There's no living happily ever after anymore. These statistics are from the CDC and from statistics from divorce courts. Men, they still propose on one knee, symbolically submitting to the woman. How can you lead someone that you're submitting to? Half of the men are romantic provider betters. They're being used by women and single mothers for support while alpha genetics reign supreme. So modern men are not failing because they are not good enough. They are failing because they are operating with a broken rule book. So men must shift from the princess worship to purpose first. Joseph Campbell, the late author, he taught that every authentic hero story includes the call to the journey and not the call to love. Love comes after the legacy. So first you must travel, you must become. What if Superman stayed Superman and didn't turn into Clark Kent to chase Lois? What if men led with mission, not with women? What if you built a kingdom before looking for a queen? Most of us learned to chase the ladies first. And that's why men today are depressed. They are sexually frustrated and they are abandoned by women they sacrifice everything for. In The Alchemist, which has a very beautiful story, Paulo Coelho tells us that you should never abandon your personal legend for love. The average man, they ignore this message. So, gentlemen, are women the prize? Let's break down the myth with 8 brutal truths. The first one is that men bring more to the relationship. Provision, protection, parental investment. Women bring a womb. You bring an empire. And wombs are standard issue. Women don't work for them. They are born with them. Second thing is that women are born with value. Men must create value. All women have wombs. Not all men are successful. Youth, beauty, and fertility require no effort. But success, confidence, strength, and status, they take years to build. The third thing is that women's value declines, and it declines quite rapidly. But men's value rises with time. She peaks at 23, you peak at 43. Longevity equals value. The fourth reason why men are the prize is because women need men to survive. Men don't need women to survive. We only need them for reproduction. Any survival-based reality show, or even disaster, they prove this immediately. When there's war, women need men. When there are disasters, women need men. all the electrical wires, the grids, the roadworks, the infrastructure, all built by men. The fifth reason why men are the prize is because women want equal or better, and most men are not better. So hypergamy means she will always want to date up. So you better be up, because the woman will want a man who is better than her. The sixth point is that most modern women are not virgins. They've been run through. You're paying a full price for a depreciating asset that has already been utilized. So someone already got it for free. So can they really be the price if they did not preserve their value? Today's woman is trained to be a worker, not a wife. So you are marrying a competitor, not a partner. Who wants that? The eighth point is divorce is now a tool for empowerment, not duty or legacy. So you'll be left when our happiness ends, not when your commitment ends. So gentlemen, men must stop simping and start learning. You don't kneel before a woman. You don't supplicate to prove your identity or your worth. You should always show up with mission, masculinity, and mastery. And if she wants to join, she must submit to your frame. If she doesn't, she's out. A woman doesn't respect a man that she can lead. A woman doesn't love a man she cannot admire. As Rollo Tomasi says, never marry a woman who is not afraid to lose you. So stop trying to deserve her. Put her in a position to deserve you. So, gentlemen, this is not anti-woman. This is pro-man clarity. A man who doesn't understand his value will never choose a partner from strength. He will always be chosen from pity, convenience, or fading romance. We need a brotherhood to build men, gentlemen. Men who know purpose comes before pussy. Men who know that they should build empires, not excuses. Men who hold frame, command respect, and live in sovereignty. So get unplugged. Your life is not a fairy tale. Your masculinity is not a tool for female comfort. Your power is not negotiable. You are the prize. Build yourself. Build your world. And later earn the right to enter it. So comment below. I want you to share with us, what beliefs from childhood do you see now as traps? What part of your masculine power are you reclaiming today? Let the brotherhood begin. Get unplugged, and I'll see you on the next one.